Some NBA drafts are really, really good, and others are really, really not good. Then you have the 2015 NBA draft that's overflowing with potential, only to turn out not all that great. I mean, it has some good things going for it, at least one superstar, a couple of all-stars, and a reasonable amount of depth, but people were expecting a lot more than that. Some of these guys were expected to carry the league on their backs, but in a majority of cases, things turned out not the greatest. Some even called it the worst draft of the past decade. Come on, things aren't that bad. They can't be, right? Okay, well, let me break it down for you. We're gonna take a look at what people were saying about these players before the draft, and then compare that to how their careers actually went. To make things more interesting, I reached out to every single player from this list on IG for a comment, and here's what they had to say about the 2015 draft. No one, not a single reply. We'll check the DMs later. I mean, someone's bound to answer before the end of the video, right? Anyways, from guys that would be great in any era, except the one they played in, to players who got traded because they snitched on their teammates. Here's what actually happened to every NBA player from the 2015 draft.
The Minnesota Timberwolves select Karl Anthony Towns from the University of Kentucky.
Nobody in the field has a higher ceiling than Towns, who's developing low post game, shooting touch, and rim protection fuel unique two-way versatility. Were they right?
Oh, you almost had it.
The draft kicked off in an anticlimactic fashion. After his amazing freshman season at Kentucky, Cat was projected to be the #1 overall pick by many publications. Cat was also one of the 6 Kentucky players selected in the 2015 draft. Numbers-wise, Cat's lone season as a Wildcat wasn't really unbelievable. Around 10 points, almost 7 rebounds, and a little over 2 blocks on solid shooting splits. But dang, he was quite the unique big man. For one, he was a 7-footer with a 7'3" wingspan and the strength of an NBA player. 2, he could post up, pass, defend multiple positions, and protect the rim. And 3, even though he only shot 8 3-pointers due to Kentucky's style of play, he was still shooting the lights out from the mid-range. Towns was also seen as a mature, team-oriented player. He adapted his play to fit Kentucky's style of play, and he helped the team reach the Final Four that year. Oh, and he won a ton of individual awards too. SEC Rookie of the Year, NCAA All-Region, Consensus All-American, SEC All-Freshman Team, and the All-SEC Team. With a blend of traditional big man abilities and modern skills, Towns was seen as a prototype of the next generation center. And we know he thinks so too.
I feel like there's going to be people who are going to say, that I changed the game. And I'm going to be very appreciative of that.
I mean, scouts were drooling over him, and the Wolves had the first pick, so they grabbed him. The Timberwolves failed to make the playoffs a full decade before Cat came. As we know now, Cat didn't change the situation, but he did show off his skills at the next level. He proved his worth by clinching the NBA Rookie of the Year award with averages of 18.3 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks per game. And thankfully, Cat wasn't just a one-season wonder. With career averages of 23 points, 11.2 rebounds, and a notable 39.5% from the three-point line, Towns has indeed become one of the centers that ushered in the new era of big men. But notice how I keep saying one of the big men and not the big man. When you are as highly touted as Cat was, that's the problem. The likes of Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis have stolen the spotlight, collecting MVP and championship trophies like it was nothing. And Cat has great numbers, but he never matured into the leader everyone expected. Jimmy Butler, Anthony Edwards, heck, even a way past prime KG were considered better leaders than Cat. At the start of this year, things were finally looking better for the Wolves as an organization. Ant has become the de facto leader, Gobert has settled into his role, and Cat is having possibly the best shooting season of his career, chasing the 50-40-90 averages. With the Wolves fighting for the top spot in the West, it seems like Cat has finally found his voice.
Go get him.
After all that,
Damn, it's total chaos in Minnesota right now. Like,
no, for sure.
It was like
The Los Angeles Lakers select D'Angelo Russell from The Ohio State University.
The Los Angeles Lakers found their lead guard of the future in D'Angelo Russell, who offers the star power, skill level, and versatility to really blow up. Were they right?
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe yourself.
Kinda right. He did come back to become their leading guard now. However, his name recently appeared in trade rumors, so who knows? Have you ever felt let down by a movie's underwhelming outcome after a type? Yeah, that's how many people feel about D'Angelo Russell's career. D'Lo started getting attention while still in high school. The 5-star recruit was ranked the 13th best high school player in the country by ESPN and was sought after by many top D1 schools. But D'Lo ended up committing to Ohio State on June 7, 2013. He chose the program over the likes of Louisville, North Carolina, and Kentucky. Yeah, the Wildcats could have had 7 players in the NBA draft. Remember how Cat's college numbers weren't all that impressive? Well, D'Lo's were. 19.3 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. He also had triple doubles against Rutgers, a feat no Buckeye freshman has ever achieved. And he also passed the eye test. He could shoot, he could pass, and shine with the best of them.
They hurry. Russell to no look. Russell.
All of that was enough to land him the second spot in the draft. Russell was supposed to be the next big Laker. He even had Kobe in his twilight years to mentor him and turn him into a dog. But this is where the problems start.
Send him that way.
Right out of the gate, D'Lo had some trouble finding his rhythm. His scoring was off and on, and his playmaking skills from college seemed to vanish into thin air. And don't get me started on his defense.
Well, Pope and Murray goes in and lays it up.
And then there was the incident.
Defense! Defense!
When you thought D'Lo's rookie season couldn't get more dramatic, he decided to secretly record a private conversation with Nick Young about cheating on his fiancée, rapper Iggy Azalea, and somehow it leaked onto the internet. Yeah, I'm not sure how you accidentally posted that to the internet. The incident was talked about in the media for months and left everyone questioning Russell's maturity and, let's be honest, his common sense. After a sophomore season that promised growth but delivered more of the same, the Lakers decided it was time for a change of scenery for Russell. He went to Brooklyn where he seemed to get his mojo back. In his second season with the team, the dude was balling. He finished second in the Most Improved Player award race and earned himself an All-Star nod. Unfortunately, this didn't last long. Fast forward past a short, unremarkable time with the Warriors, and D'Angelo Russell landed with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He teamed up with the guy selected over him. We saw glimpses of the D'Lo magic, but that old nemesis consistency kept dodging him. Just as he was finally getting the hang of it, the NBA's ever-turning trade carousel sent him back to the Lakers. Back in LA, he turned into a crowd pleaser, even pushing the Lakers deep into the playoffs, but ultimately not showing up when they needed him the most against the Nuggets. Yet, as a new season unfolds, the rumor mill is still buzzing for D'Lo, leaving us all guessing, what's next for D'Lo?
The Philadelphia 76ers select Jahlil Okafor from Duke University.
With his size, post repertoire, and instinct close to the basket, he should really be a difficult matchup, even at the next level. Hard to see many centers stopping him if he continues to progress. Well, were they right?
No, not this time.
Other than Towns, Jahlil Okafor is the only other player considered for the top spot in the draft. At a certain point, publications like the Bleacher Report thought he should go first. The cousin of the former Rookie of the Year award winner, Emeka Okafor, Jahlil was a stellar high school player. Playing at Whitney Young Magnet, he earned National Player of the Year award and became one of the most sought-after recruits in the country. He committed to Duke and lived up to the hype right away. Jahlil, alongside Tyus Jones, led the Blue Devils to an NCAA championship in his freshman year. He was named the ACC Player of the Year and a consensus first-team All-American. The Sixers' selection of Okafor was seen as somewhat strange, because they drafted Nerlens Noel and Joel Embiid in the years leading to 2015. But in their defense, Okafor looked too good to be passed on. The Sixers simply went with the most talented player. His rookie season went pretty good. He averaged 17.5 points and 7 rebounds per game, showcasing the offensive skills that made him a standout at Duke. Okafor was looking like a baby Al Jefferson in his first season, but sadly, that was his best season. He quickly fell out of favor with the team due to off-court incidents and a strained relationship with the head coach. And in December 2017, he was traded to the Nets. His time in Brooklyn and subsequent stints with the New Orleans Pelicans and Detroit Pistons were unsuccessful, to say the least. He signed with the Atlanta Hawks in September 2021. However, he was waived less than a month later. Subsequently, Okafor played in China, Mexico, and Spain. As Basket News reports, he's currently playing in China for this team, the name of which I have no plans on failing to pronounce. Okay, before we proceed, I have a quick PSA. It won't take long, bear with me. I honestly don't like calling people scrubs, chumps, or busts, or anything like that. These dudes are professional athletes, and I respect every one of them. Even if you don't make it to the NBA, the fact you're making a living off of playing ball makes you better than 99% of wannabe players. That said, not everyone's game translates well to the next level. That's just a fact. But Jahlil Okafor is a bit different. While he's not a really good pick, his situation is unique. Many scouts, coaches, and GMs believe that there was nothing particularly wrong with his game, aside from the fact that it doesn't work at all in today's game. He was known for his low post prowess, utilizing a variety of moves to score around the basket. This traditional big man style, effective in college, found less success in the evolving NBA, where shooting, spacing, and defensive versatility became way more valued.
The New York Knicks select Kristaps Porzingis from Liepaja, Latvia.
President Phil Jackson took a major home run swing on Kristaps Porzingis, who offers enormous potential reward, but also a little bit of risk. Were they right?
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, cut the booze. With the 4th pick, Phil Jackson, then president of basketball operations for the Knicks, selected the Latvian big man that American fans knew little about. Reactions to his selections were not kind.
Oh my God!
What the f did they do? Who the f is this? And I came off vacation just to talk about this subject because as a native New Yorker, I'm completely disgusted.
With a towering 7-foot frame and a sharpshooter's touch, Porzingis was dubbed the Unicorn. The center position at the time was stagnating, failing to keep up with guards on both offense and defense. Kristaps represented the new breed of centers that could shoot, dominate the paint, and stay in front of small guys on pick and rolls. Porzingis left a good impression on the New York crowd, averaging 14.3 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks, and finished second in the Rookie of the Year race. His numbers steadily improved, and the 2017 through 28 season saw further growth, with Porzingis averaging 22.7 points, 6.6 rebounds, and a career-high 2.4 blocks per game. That year, he also secured his first All-Star selection before his season was cut short by an ACL injury. The injury and tensions with the Knicks front office led to a shocking trade to Dallas.
The Knicks just traded Kristaps Porzingis.
I hate being a Knicks fan. I hate being a Knicks fan.
In Dallas, he was expected to form a dynamic duo with Luka Doncic, but injuries continued to plague Porzingis, and his once stellar defensive capabilities seemed to weaken. Along with that, the Mavericks never found a way to properly utilize Porzingis as a second star. I mean, just check out some of these pick and rolls. You can clearly see that Luka is looking for a big to run the lane, but Porzingis is more of a pick and pop player. But even when Porzingis was open for a 3, Luka wasn't passing it to him. So with the Mavericks noticing this, they decided to trade Porzingis to the Wizards in February of 2022. In Washington, Porzingis quietly had a great season, with career highs in point averages and field goal percentage. However, the Latvians' good play didn't help them reach the playoffs since they finished the season with a 35-47 record. While he was playing well, many fans didn't pay attention to it since he was playing in Washington, and it started to feel like people were writing off Porzingis' career. Well, that was the case until
Celtics, right before the strike of midnight, trading Marcus Smart as part of a 3-team deal to bring back Kristaps Porzingis.
After acquiring Porzingis, the Boston Celtics became one of the main teams to come out of the East and potentially win it all. Porzingis has been a valuable asset to the team, averaging 20.2 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 1.9 assists per game this season. He credits the Celtics organization and leadership for his outstanding performance. His dominance on the defensive end, particularly in pick and roll situations, has been instrumental in Boston's success this year. If he helps Boston win a title, we as NBA fans might have to reconsider his legacy completely.
The Orlando Magic select Mario Hezonja from Dubrovnik, Croatia.
Oozing with swagger, confidence, and competitiveness. Don't be surprised if he quickly becomes a favorite of new head coach Scott Skiles. Were they right?
Oh, I don't think so.
Mario Hezonja was one of the most exciting European prospects in the mid-2010s. The Croatian guard started playing with professional basketball players when he was just 11 years old. By 14, he had moved to Croatia's capital city of Zagreb for basketball and high school. While he was still a teen, he moved to Spain all on his own to sign a professional contract with FC Barcelona basketball. And yeah, that FC stands for football club, so their team name is actually Football Club Barcelona Basketball. Yeah, you make that make sense to me. He started playing on Barcelona's second-tier team, and by his 18th birthday, he earned a spot on Barcelona's EuroLeague team. Now remember, these are the mid-2010s. Hoop mixtapes are everything, and dudes from Europe started to get in on the game. Mario's highlights were getting views, and his ability to dunk over everyone and shoot the lights out made him a prime candidate for going viral. The NBA took notice of him. He declared for the 2015 draft and was selected by Orlando. He was considered to be the best shooter in the draft, which earned him many comparisons with his legendary countryman, Drazen Petrovic. And that put some pressure on Mario. Being compared to the best player that your country has ever produced can put a lot of pressure on you. Mario had a quiet rookie season, scoring around 6 points in 18 minutes. He spent the first 3 years of his career in Orlando before signing with the Knicks in 2018. There, Super Mario did have some awesome moments. Remember the dunk on Giannis?
He drives it, Middleton, and finishes! And then stares and walks over into...
And the AI step over? Yeah, that's nasty. There's also the block on OBJ's game-winning attempt.
LeBron James, LeBron all the way, he has...
But for the guy who was once touted as the best shooter in the draft, he never actually got his shot together in the NBA. As a matter of fact, he never shot over 35% from 3 in the NBA, and one season, he only shot 27.6%. His NBA career was marked by inconsistency. Despite his talent and potential, he struggled to find a steady role in Orlando, New York, and Portland, and failed to make significant technical improvements during his time in the league. So where is he now? After 2020, he went back to Europe. And yes, he can still jump out the gym.
And Mario Hezonja off to the races. Oh, man.
But he's still inconsistent with his three-point shot. Currently, he's playing for Real Madrid, the most stacked team in the EuroLeague at the moment, and he's doing his thing. Earlier this season, he was voted the MVP of the month of December, and during the recording of this video, his team is sitting comfortably at the top of the standings.
I hope that this can be achieved and that we can go to even another level and to something much more than just things that we are focused now.
The Sacramento Kings select Willie Cauley-Stein from the University of Kentucky.
He has the potential to become one of the most unique defenders in the league, with the versatility to protect the rim, switch on to guards, and pressure full court. Well, were they right?
I don't think so.
Well. Now that we're done with the guys that have had like the good careers, we've come to a rough patch in the draft. Not gonna lie, these dudes have not done so great for themselves when it comes to their time in the league, so we're gonna speed things up a bit. With the 6th pick, the Kings selected another Kentucky alumni, Willie Cauley-Stein. As a freshman, he won the SEC Defensive Player of the Year award, and his athleticism and defensive capabilities were expected to translate well into the NBA. But did they actually translate all that well? Early on, he was playing backup center behind DeMarcus Cousins. He was solid, averaging 7 to 8 points and around 5 rebounds. But after the Kings traded their star center, Willie was supposed to jump to take his place. He was supposed to be a star, so how did he fare? Well, he was average, around 12 to 13 points and 7 to 8 rebounds. But his style of play limited his impact and playing time. Cauley-Stein's move to the Golden State Warriors in 2019 and subsequent trade to the Dallas Mavericks in 2020 did little to reignite his career, and by 28, he was out of the league. Now in Europe, where his style of play is more suited for the game, Cauley-Stein has the opportunity to redefine his career.
The Denver Nuggets select Emmanuel Mudiay from Dallas, Texas.
Had he not gotten injured and provided a more full sample size during his time in China, might have still been in contention for the top pick. Certainly one of the higher upside talents in the 2015 NBA draft. Were they right?
You joking?
Like any other NBA player, Mudiay was a star in high school. However, unlike your typical American player, instead of going to college, he opted to play in China instead. Although controversial, the move turned out to be beneficial, since he was picked 7th. In his rookie season, Mudiay averaged 12.8 points and 5.5 assists per game, showing that playing with grown men in China gave him the ability to adapt quickly to the NBA. However, his shooting inefficiencies were apparent, with a field goal of just 36.4% and a 3-point percentage of 31.9%. Despite these struggles, Mudiay's playmaking and defensive efforts earned him a spot on the NBA All-Rookie second team. In his second season, his efficiency went up a little bit, but his future wasn't looking all that good, all because of one guy.
Jamal Murray.
The emergence of Jamal Murray further complicated his role. In 2018, Mudiay was traded to the New York Knicks, where he experienced a brief resurgence, particularly in the 2018 through 2019 season, where he posted career-high averages of 15 points and 3.9 assists per game. In spite of this, Mudiay struggled to find a stable footing in the NBA. After short stints with the Jazz and Kings, he was out of a job. Mudiay's post-NBA career saw him exploring opportunities internationally, including a stint with Žalgiris Kaunas in the EuroLeague, and most recently signing with the Conjeros de Santurce in the Puerto Rican League.
The Detroit Pistons select Stanley Johnson from the University of Arizona.
Competitive, strong, and athletic. Chances are Johnson can start the opening night for the Pistons.
Have you lost your mind?
Stanley Johnson drew comparisons to Kawhi Leonard while still in college. Playing at Arizona, he was named Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, securing a high spot in the 2015 draft. His rookie season saw him averaging 8.1 points with a shooting efficiency that placed him among the least effective forwards. However, his defensive efforts, particularly a noted performance against LeBron James in the playoffs, showed glimpses of his potential.
He's made 3 threes. He's had the unenviable task of having to match up against LeBron James. Sometimes irrational confidence is good. You may back down, but there's been no back down in Stanley Johnson. He's big, he's strong, and he's competing hard.
Also, his trash talking was apparently good, although King James didn't particularly worry about it.
I don't think it's about that. I think the game is played in between the 4 lines, and that's my only concern. To go out there and help my guys execute our game plan as high as we can, and that's the only thing I can worry about.
But these showings, no matter how good, were always brief. After Detroit, he played for the Raptors, Lakers, and Spurs. And at this moment, he is playing for Sacramento's G League team, the Stockton Kings.
The Charlotte Hornets select Frank Kaminsky from the University of Wisconsin.
His skill level, basketball IQ, and sweet outside stroke give him a great chance to be a contributor in this league from day 1 to year 10. Were they right?
I don't think so.
Frank the Tank Kaminsky, with his Wisconsin pedigree, came into the league with the Charlotte Hornets oozing potential. If you saw him playing against Cat and the rest of the Kentucky boys, you know that he was nothing short of sensational in college, known for stretching the floor with his three-pointers and dropping dimes like he was minting currency.
Some experienced team. Koenig sets up Kaminsky.
In the NBA, however, Frank's skills weren't effective. He was too weak,
Isaiah Whitehead.
too slow,
Shot. Tucker.
too not so good on defense.
Plugging away. A decade into his tenure in the NBA.
He couldn't defend a pick and roll to save his life, and I'm not sure if he still can. After 4 years in Charlotte and 3 in Phoenix, Frank exchanged a few more teams, showing little to no progress. In Atlanta, he played with the one and only Bogdan Bogdanovic, known sharpshooter and former Partizan Belgrade captain. No, I'm not flexing my linguistic skills, it's just that part really matters for Frank's story. After his time in the NBA was coming to a close, Kaminsky took his talents overseas to the one and only Partizan Belgrade. You might not know the name, but if you know basketball, you know this clip. That's Partizans playing on the court. Oh yeah, and that's PJ Dozier dunking right there. Frank has been their starting center and has been shooting the lights out. Oh, and just don't ask the Partizan Belgrade fans about Frank's defense. It's still a sore spot.
Francisco! Step back, if it goes, they'll win it. Game over!
The Miami Heat select Justice Winslow from Duke University.
This is a terrific value pick for the Heat, who can use his athleticism, energy, and defensive versatility right off the bat.
100%.
With a championship pedigree from Duke, Winslow is expected to be a Swiss Army knife for the Heat, a guy who could do a bit of everything. Initially, it looked like the Heat had struck gold, but injuries happen. From wrist to shoulder to back issues, Winslow spent more time with the medical team than on the court, but that wasn't the only problem Justice had. There's the shooting. Oh boy, the shooting. Despite shooting a modest 42% from the field in his rookie season, his three-point percentage was a chilling 27%. Justice also faced some serious off-court issues, like alcoholism and other mental health issues. It's a stark reminder that these athletes who seem larger than life are just as human as the rest of us. So, where's Winslow now? He's still in the league. He's playing for the Raptors, grinding and trying to find the right place for himself.
The Indiana Pacers select Miles Turner from the University of Texas.
Miles Turner offers some boom or bust potential, but if he hits, the Indiana Pacers land a steal. Were they right?
Yeah, keep up the good work.
Now we're back on the right track. In high school, Turner's skills on the court caught the eye of scouts as he averaged an impressive 15.7 points and 12.8 rebounds and 8.6 blocks per game. While he had a nasty ankle injury, he managed to bounce back and recover 100%. At the University of Texas, Turner continued to develop, averaging 10 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks per game in his freshman year. His standout performances earned him recognition as the Big 12 Freshman of the Year. Turner's professional career took off after being drafted by the Indiana Pacers in the 2015 NBA draft. Like Porzingis, he also represented the new type of 3-and-D players, ones that can block a dunk attempt on one end and then go and knock down a three at the other end. I mean, how many people on the planet can say that they blocked LeBron?
Oh, this is smothered chicken all day. Oh, I think not.
And Giannis on dunk attempts. Despite a couple of injuries, he made his mark as a dominant force on both ends of the court. In the 2022 through 2023 season, Turner averaged an impressive 18 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks per game, showcasing his impact on the Pacers roster. And the man loves his Legos. I can tell you that much.
My love for Legos, I'd always kind of did little one-off stuff for it, but this is a way of me personally showing like my own collection in a sense. Like I lived legitimately building them for the past 10 years now, and I never really put them on display. They've just been in my house.
The Utah Jazz select Trey Lyles from Saskatoon, Canada, and the University of Kentucky.
Given their spot on the board, Utah gets excellent value in Lyles. Were they right?
100%.
Coming out of, say it with me, Kentucky, Trey Lyles was known as a player who can do a little bit of everything. Utah was riding high on him, and they did pick him in front of one of his talented teammates. More on that guy in a second. He had his moments, including a 22-point outing against the Nuggets, but his rookie season was nothing to write home about.
Back to Lyles, he'll tow it for three. Got Lyles on a drive, hangs it off the glass, and the rookie drive on a kick to Lyles. Answers right back.
He averaged around 6 points and less than 4 rebounds. Not the numbers your future starting player should have. After a stint with the Jazz, his career became more nomadic. First, he landed in Denver, where he played solid minutes. Funnily enough, he had a career-high 26-point performance against his old team, which led many to believe that Lyles was on the verge of a breakout.
Inside Lyles. Basket counts.
Lyles,
Wide open. That's a tough shot. Coming in, drop step, that's good!
Yet consistency remained elusive if you want to use fancy terms. And Lyles found himself on the move once again, this time to San Antonio. The Spurs, known for their player development, seemed like the perfect landing spot for Lyles to unlock his potential finally. He had moments, sure, like a 23-point outing against Portland, but the story remained the same. Potential glimpsed, but never fully grasped. Nonetheless, he became a solid journeyman and has had many scuffles with the likes of Channing Frye,
headbutting Lyles.
Herb Jones.
Lyles was going after the official.
Right.
Herb Jones was running, and they ran into each other, and Herb thought that Lyles was running at him.
Rook Lopez.
Lyles committed the foul, and then he just mushed Lopez in the face.
And WWE World Heavyweight Champion Draymond Green.
Watch Draymond right at the end, right hand, gotcha. Yep.
You can say Trey added a layer of toughness to his resume too.
The Phoenix Suns select Devin Booker from the University of Kentucky.
Booker's top skill is spotting up and knocking down jumpers off screens. Were they right?
What do you think?
Now we've come to the key player in the draft. Devin Booker. When the Phoenix Suns snagged Devin Booker with the 13th pick, little did they know they were getting their hands on a future NBA superstar. Comparisons to Klay Thompson weren't just hot air. Booker has surpassed those early predictions. All NBA fans know Booker, but still, let's go over some of the milestones he's already hit in his career. Youngest to score 1,000 points? Check. Youngest to drop 60 points in a game? Check. Youngest to score 70 points in a game? Double check.
Whoa! Comes up shooting again. You gotta be kidding me.
The accolades just keep piling up, from NBA All-Star selections to final appearances, and with a net worth that's just going to keep climbing, it's safe to say that Booker's doing all right for himself. But personally, his rivalry with Luka is
must-see TV.
If he manages to pick up a trophy with Durant, his legacy as the best player from this draft would be set in stone.
The Oklahoma City Thunder select Cameron Payne from Murray State University.
Payne should be able to step in right away and provide some offensive firepower in Oklahoma City's backcourt. Were they right? Firepower may not be the right word to use. Seen as the perfect sidekick to Russell Westbrook, Payne was supposed to bring his A game right off the bat. His rookie season, he wasn't really a sidekick. It's more like he played a background character on the team. But he did do his moves on the sideline, so he gained some social media clout for that. Yeah, not gonna lie, these dance moves got old really quick. I'm on Team Charlie on this one. Injuries plagued Payne's early career. In 2016, he underwent foot surgery, which sidelined him from the start of the 2016 through 2017 season. After OKC, he played for the Bulls, Cavs, and Hornets. In 2020, he joined the Suns and made an immediate impact, particularly during the NBA bubble. His contributions helped the Suns reach the NBA Finals in 2021. Payne is currently playing for the Sixers, praying Embiid will get healthy for the playoffs so they can make a serious title run.
The Atlanta Hawks select Kelly Oubre from the University of Kansas.
He's a weapon in the open floor and a threat to nail a jumper or floater whenever he lets it fly. Were they right?
100%.
From one current Sixer to another. Drafted by the Atlanta Hawks and immediately traded to the Wizards, Oubre was expected to contribute right away. As his Draft Express profile said, his jump shot was his NBA-ready skill. At 6'7" with a 7'2" wingspan, he had the perfect basketball frame. But in the beginning, he didn't contribute too much. In his rookie season with the Washington Wizards, Oubre began to find his footing in the league, contributing 3.7 points and 2.1 rebounds in a limited role, with an average of 10.7 minutes per game. But his problem is, let's say it all, kids, consistency. But his role increased and numbers went up. By the 2017 through 2018 season, his averages went up to 11.8 points and 4.5 rebounds. His defensive presence also became more pronounced. With his move to the Suns in his fourth year, Oubre finally established himself as a reliable role player. In 2 seasons with Phoenix, he averaged nearly 18 points and 6 rebounds. After a stint with the Warriors, Oubre made his way to Charlotte. And with the Hornets, he continued to showcase his scoring ability, culminating in a career-high average of 20.3 points in the 22 through 23 season. He also had some awesome moments like scoring 40 and hitting 8 threes in a single quarter.
Green starts throwing. Winning streak against the Pistons on the line. Last year he was the College Player of the Year from Sardis Road.
In September, he signed a 1-year deal with the Sixers, trying to help them compete for a title. While he went from 17 shot attempts in Charlotte to around 11, Oubre is not complaining. He's playing his role and waiting for Embiid to get back on the court. And I'm not even going to talk about the time he was maybe hit by a car, or maybe not. I don't know, the jury's still out on that one.
Meantime, the search is on for the person who was behind the wheel during that crash. 27-year-old Oubre Jr. was released from the hospital a little after 10 o'clock last night. Reports indicate Oubre was hit while walking near his residence at Broad and Locust in Center City.
The Boston Celtics select Terry Rozier from University of Louisville.
Born in Youngstown, Ohio, and a standout of Louisville, Terry Rozier entered the NBA with a reputation for being a tenacious guard with a knack for scoring and playmaking. Drafted 16th overall by the Boston Celtics, he spent the first couple of years in the league playing backup to Kyrie Irving. And when Kyrie went down with injuries, Terry got multiple chances to start and lead the team. Remember the 2018 playoffs? Rozier didn't just fill Kyrie Irving's shoes, he set the court on fire, leading the Celtics to the Eastern Conference Finals and leaving fans chanting "Scary Terry" in his wake.
On the floor against this much pressure is an absolute necessity. The "Scary Terry" chant.
However, after Kyrie got his life and mental health together, Terry was back on the bench. In 2019, Terry was traded to the Charlotte Hornets in a sign-and-trade deal that involved Kemba Walker. There, he transitioned from the sixth man to a leading role, showcasing his scoring prowess and becoming a primary offensive weapon. With the Hornets, Rozier's performances solidified his status as a player who could lead a team's backcourt, not just complement it. Fast forward to the present, and Rozier finds himself with the Miami Heat. The transition hasn't been all smooth sailing though. Just a couple of weeks into his Heat tenure, Terry suffered what seemed to be a serious knee injury during a game with his former team.
The numbers up. He's probably playing more difficult defenses.
Oh no.
And you'd better believe that the media had a field day with all those "Terry suffered a scary injury." You know, like "Scary Terry." Man, I did say I'd stop with the jokes. Luckily, the injury seems to not be that serious, and Terry's expected to return to the court soon.
The Milwaukee Bucks select Rashad Vaughn from UNLV.
Vaughn ultimately projects as an instant offense microwave coming off the bench.
Are you joking?
The Milwaukee Bucks, hoping to add some firepower to their roster, snagged Vaughn with the 17th pick, dreaming of three-pointers raining down in the Bradley Center. But here's the twist. Vaughn's transition from college sensation to NBA regular was, well, less sensational. His rookie season saw him on the court in 70 games, but with averages that whispered more than they roared, with 3.1 points in 14.3 minutes per game. Not exactly the instant offense microwave everyone was hoping for. Vaughn's journey took him from Milwaukee to Brooklyn, but his stint with the Nets was like a New York minute, brief and easily missed. He found himself in a game of NBA musical chairs, with shortstops in Dallas and Orlando, but never quite finding the rhythm to secure his place. So where is Vaughn now? After his NBA stint, he took his talents to the G League and overseas, proving that while the NBA chapter might have closed, his basketball story was far from over.
The Houston Rockets select Sam Decker from the University of Wisconsin.
Decker projects as a high-end role player who makes the extra pass, knocks down the open shot, and hits the available lane. Well, were they right?
Are you joking?
Sam Decker had an awesome college career at Wisconsin. Here are some of his college accolades: Big Ten All-Freshman Team, NCAA All-Region Team, NCAA All-Tourney Team, 2 trips to the Final Four. He was selected as the 18th pick of the draft by Houston. In history, some good players were picked at the 18th spot too. Just look at some of these dudes: David West, James Posey, Shane Larkin, J.R. Smith, and Q Rich. Not too shabby, but still, not much is expected from an 18th pick. Sam Decker was supposed to help the Rockets stretch out the floor and energize the team with hustle plays. I mean, he had some hustle in him. But I can't say it passes the eye test. Anyway, in historical terms, Decker's career isn't anything amazing. In his best season, he averaged around 6.5 points and 3.7 rebounds in a little over 18 minutes of play. He bounced around the league for a couple of years, but since he wasn't getting the minutes he wanted, he went international. He played in Russia, Turkey, and most interestingly, England. In his first season with the London Lions, he averaged 18.9 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 3 assists, helping the team win the British Basketball League Cup and Championship. He was also the top scorer in the Euro Cup, and he also became one of the most popular players in England, inspiring a new generation of players in the country, mostly known for its football. Don't worry, my Euro viewers, I got you. Oh, and Miles Bridges has a song called Sam Decker, and I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely on my playlist.
Put that check, girl, just hit the same store again. They can't check. My white boy got a jumper, Sam Decker. Yeah, RTB.
The Washington Wizards select Jaren Grant from the University of Notre Dame.
Jaren Grant could help just about any team from day one. He's a smart, well-rounded player with highlight reel hops. Well, were they right?
Are you joking?
Horace, Harvey, Jerian, Jerai, Jeremy. The Grant family has produced a lot of ballers. Jerian Grant was great in college. In his last season, he made the All-ACC first team with averages of 16.5 points, 6.7 assists, and 3 rebounds in his final year, earning him a spot on the All-ACC first team. That was enough to catch the attention of several NBA scouts. Selected 19th overall in the 2015 NBA draft by the Wizards, Grant's rights were immediately traded to the Knicks. His rookie season with the Knicks saw him contributing modestly with averages of 5.6 points and 2.3 assists over 76 games. The following year, Grant was traded to the Chicago Bulls, where he saw an uptick in his role and productivity, particularly during the 2017 through 2018 season, where he posted career-high averages of 8.4 points and 4.6 assists per game. Scoring off his knees? Now that's versatility. Despite this, he struggled to find a spot on any team he played. He wound up playing in the G League and overseas later in his career. You can currently see him in the EuroLeague, and not gonna lie, that dude can still ball.
Mitoglu out to Grant, locked, and Grant, nice footwork to create the space on the perimeter, and he strings it.
The Toronto Raptors select DeLon Wright from the University of Utah.
But as a backup ball handler who can pass and defend, Wright is a fine pick at number 20. Were they right?
Keep up the good work.
Born and raised in Los Angeles, this guard took his talents to Utah for college. Not exactly the place to expect an LA kid to end up, but hey, it worked out. The Raptors took Wright at 20th overall, hoping to boost their guard rotation. He played for 3.5 seasons with the Raptors, averaging around 7 points, 2 rebounds, and a couple assists. After that, he was traded to Memphis, where he played the most minutes in his career, and had his first career triple-double.
Mismatch, and it's going to hurt him on the offensive glass.
DeLon Wright with us
in this game.
Sets a good screen, pick and roll, and create off the bounce. Got to let it go against the puck.
He then played for Dallas, Detroit, Sacramento, and Atlanta before coming to Washington, where he spent the last 2 seasons. In the meantime, Wright has become quite a pickpocket. Playing for the Wizards last year, he set a new career high record with 1.8 steals per game. That season, he also became one of 4 active players to record more than 80 steals in 5 seasons in a row. The other 3 players, Jimmy Buckets, CP3, and Joker. Yeah.
Rebound Walker. Good hands there by DeLon Wright. Just with 10. Here's KP to DeLon Wright all alone.
Drive to your shot blockers.
1 second left to close out the first.
DeLon was a great value pick if you ask me.
The Dallas Mavericks select Justin Anderson from the University of Virginia.
With Dallas able to surround him with scorers and playmakers, the Mavericks should simply value his two-way presence and shot-making ability. Were they right?
It's a long story, Tony.
In high school, Justin Anderson played for Montrose Christian School, where he became the Gatorade Maryland Boys Basketball Player of the Year. And you better believe he had an awesome mixtape. Initially committed to Maryland, Anderson actually went to Virginia. His sophomore year saw him earn the ACC Sixth Man of the Year honors, and in his junior year, he transitioned into a starting role and earned accolades like second team All-ACC and third team All-American by the NABC. He was selected by the Mavs in the 2015 draft, and over the span of 2015 through 2022, he played a total of 242 games in the NBA. Throughout his NBA career, he maintained an average of 5.3 points and 2.6 rebounds per game, often moving back and forth between the NBA and the G League. Since last year, he's been playing out in the Spanish Liga ACB, where he's averaging 7.8 points and 2.5 rebounds.
The Chicago Bulls select Bobby Portis from the University of Arkansas.
But this late in the first round, Portis offers excellent value at number 22. And were they right?
Keep up the good work.
At Arkansas, Bobby Portis was a force to be reckoned with, snagging All-American honors and deciding he was ready for the big leagues after 2 years. Bobby had a solid, although quiet rookie year with the Bulls, where he averaged 7 points and 5 rebounds per game. By his 4th season in the Windy City, he was averaging 14 points and 7 rebounds. But his Bulls career was far from perfect. In 2017, he made headlines for the wrong reason after an altercation with teammate Nikola Mirotic, which led to an 8-game suspension.
I'm wrong for what I did. I want to publicly apologize to Nico. I feel like I let my fans, the Bulls organization, most importantly my teammates down. This is not who Bobby Portis is.
In 2019, Portis was traded to the Washington Wizards, and his versatility and scoring ability were on full display during his tenure with the Wizards. He then joined the New York Knicks for the 2019 through 2020 season, averaging 10.1 points and 5.1 rebounds. After that season, he signed with the Bucks, and Portis found championship success with the team in 2021, playing a pivotal role off the bench during the playoffs. He showcased his ability to stretch the floor, making significant contributions from beyond the arc.
Goals between the two teams.
Bobby. Portis hesitates now, drive, gets inside.
And Bucks fans love him for his solid reputation and ability to put the ball in the bucket when needed, especially during their championship run where he dropped 16 points in the championship clinching Game 6.
Work with Mike Fratello. Gosh. Should begin the next chapter in their basketball journey.
Yeah, it's safe to say he found his home with the Bucks, and it shows since he signed a smaller contract to stay with the team. So was Portis the steal at number 22? Without a doubt.
The Portland Trailblazers select Rondé Hollis Jefferson from the University of Arizona.
Hollis Jefferson's measurable and observable traits are tailor-made for this season's Brooklyn Nets. Born and raised in Chester, Pennsylvania, Hollis Jefferson made waves at Arizona, becoming the guy you'd call when you need to stop the other team's best player. When the 2015 draft came around, the Brooklyn Nets snagged him, hoping his defensive prowess would translate to the big leagues. And translate it did. Hollis Jefferson became known for his hustle, athleticism, and defensive intensity that made scorers sweat. But his offensive game needed some polish. While he had a solid third year with the Nets, scoring 14 points and grabbing 7 boards, his shooting splits were not too good. After Brooklyn, Rondé bounced around a bit, from the Raptors, where he had a taste of the North, to a few other stops in the NBA, each stint showcasing his defensive skills but also highlighting his offensive limitations. Then came a shift overseas, where Rondé found a new life on the court. At the 2023 FIBA World Cup, the guy was on fire, putting up Kobe-esque performances. He scored 39 points in a game versus New Zealand, including a 4-point play that forced overtime.
He's fouled! You cannot be!
The crowd even started chanting Kobe when Jefferson touched the ball.
It means a lot. It's an honor, you know. Definitely was only one Kobe, but to feel that love and that energy, you know, coming down the stretch, hitting those big shots, God was with me and Kobe was with me for sure.
Hollis Jefferson has adopted a style reminiscent of Kobe Bryant, including cutting his hair like Bryant, wearing an armband and jersey number 24, and mimicking Bryant's footwork and free throw routine. It's like the change of scenery gave him a new lease on his basketball life, showcasing a scoring ability that many thought he didn't have. Oh, and let's see what Rondé himself had to say about it. Never mind.
The Cleveland Cavaliers select Tyus Jones from Duke University.
Jones has high-end backup potential, given his strong decision-making and ball skills. Jones' presence can ultimately allow Zach LaVine to switch to a combo scoring role off the bench, where his shot selection is better suited. Were they right?
100%.
Tyus Jones, hailing from Apple Valley, Minnesota, wasn't just another player in the draft. He was a player with a winning pedigree and a leader. At Duke, he wasn't just part of the team, he was the linchpin of their 2015 championship run, clinching the MVP award in the NCAA tournament. The Minnesota Timberwolves, snagging him 24th overall after a draft night trade with the Cavaliers, knew they were getting more than just a backup point guard. The Wolves were getting a player with the ability to control the game's tempo, making his teammates better, and most importantly, taking care of the ball. Playing with the Wolves, he set an NBA record for the assist-to-turnover ratio in a single season. Then came the move to Memphis in 2019, where Jones continued to dazzle with his playmaking and efficiency. With the Grizzlies, he led the league in assist-to-turnover ratio multiple times. So when the Grizzlies got rid of him, everyone was shocked, seeing he was a big part of the reason the Grizzlies were still a good team when Ja Morant was injured. Currently, he's playing for the Wizards, having the best season of his life. But you know, it's on the Wizards. Coaches love this dude. While he may not be an actual all-star player, he's certainly a role-playing all-star.
The Memphis Grizzlies select Jarrell Martin from Louisiana State University.
Martin looks more of a boom or bust prospect. Were they right?
Keep up the good work. Bye.
Jarrell Martin out of LSU brought with him a tantalizing mix of athleticism and scoring prowess that had the Memphis Grizzlies seeing stars at the 25th pick. And he once did an East Bay between the legs dunk in a college game. They envisioned him as an offensive juggernaut in the paint, someone who could leap, dunk, and hustle his way into the hearts of Grizzlies fans. But still, he wasn't able to find a secure spot on the team. A trade to the Orlando Magic in 2018 was supposed to be a fresh start, but it turned out to be more of the same. Good plays here and there with little to no consistency. He's also played internationally, in Australia, Israel, and Turkey, where he won a couple of championships and league cups.
The San Antonio Spurs select Nikola Milutinov from Novi Sad, Serbia.
He isn't a sexy pick, but Milutinov could be a nice long-term investment. Were they right about him?
It's a long story.
Well, looks like it didn't matter because he never ended up coming from the Greek basketball league to the NBA. And in my guess, it either came down to one of these two things. One, the Spurs never wanted him and used him as a throwaway pick, or two, the Spurs didn't offer him enough money for him to want to come to the US. Milutinov has had a good international career. Like Frank, he's also played for Partizan Belgrade, and he also played for the Russian powerhouse CSKA Moscow, where he set a few records.
The Los Angeles Lakers select Larry Nance Jr. from the University of Wyoming.
Nance is a terrific athlete and an active big man who can knock down mid-range jumpers and make plays at the hoop. However, the Lakers could have likely picked him up at number 34 overall. And were they right?
100%.
Larry Nance Jr. has lived up to the last name and then some. Jumping from Wyoming to the bright lights of the NBA, Nance Jr. quickly became a fan favorite in Los Angeles. Not just for his surname, but for his high-flying antics that reminded many of his dad. He did have a couple of Dunk of the Year contenders in LA. The Brook Lopez dunk, and let's not forget the KD poster. Larry Jr. is a bad man. His ability to stretch the floor with a reliable mid-range game and contribute defensively made him a valuable asset to the Lakers' rebuilding efforts. In subsequent years, he played for Portland, the Hornets, and the Cavs. Whether starting or coming off the bench, Nance Jr.'s energy and athleticism never waned, making him a coach's dream for his work ethic and team-first attitude. And his stats back it up, with one of his best years averaging 10.1 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 2.2 assists. Off the court, Nance Jr. has become an advocate for Crohn's disease awareness, using his platform to inspire and support others dealing with the condition. Although I still remember when you ignored that kid looking for an autograph. Be more charitable with your time, Larry Nance Jr. These jokes are probably why you didn't answer my DMs. But anywho...
The Boston Celtics select R.J. Hunter from Georgia State University.
He offers excellent value this late, given his lethal shot-making ability. With a lack of size and shooting in the backcourt, Hunter also fills a major need at the two-guard slot in Boston. Were they right?
Are you joking?
R.J. Hunter came into the league with a reputation as a sharpshooter, thanks to his standout performances at Georgia State, including that unforgettable game-winning three-pointer in the NCAA tournament that had his dad and coach tumbling off his stool in celebration.
R.J. Hunter for three!
Hunter's time with the Celtics, however, didn't quite live up to the pre-draft hype. In the crowded backcourt of Boston, opportunities were limited, and Hunter struggled to find a shooting rhythm in the limited minutes he was allotted. The Celtics system under coach Brad Stevens demands defensive grit as much as offensive prowess, and Hunter found himself navigating the steep learning curve of NBA defense. After Boston, Hunter's journey took him through a mix of G League teams and overseas stints. A good career overall, but not much to say about it. Wait. Off the court, our guy is making waves in a different industry. I haven't seen a ton of NBA players successfully get into fashion, but it looks like RJ may have found the sauce. I mean, just look at his brand Cosmic Collective. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty fire, especially this jacket.
The Brooklyn Nets select Chris McCullough from Syracuse University.
In McCullough, the Nets get a potential value pick, though he won't be a contributor for another 2 or 3 years. Were they right?
What, are you joking?
Chris McCullough, with his towering presence and athleticism, had the makings of a modern NBA big man. Coming out of Syracuse with only half a freshman season under his belt due to an ACL injury, the Nets rolled the dice, hoping for a long-term payoff. His stint with the Nets saw him bouncing between the main roster and the NBA G League, trying to find his rhythm. But just as he started to find his rhythm, McCullough found himself traded to the Washington Wizards, and then the cycle of G League assignments and fleeting NBA appearances continued. He's been playing internationally in the Philippines, Puerto Rico, and China over the last couple of years.
The Golden State Warriors select Kevon Looney from UCLA.
There was some bust potential tied to Looney, but if he figures it out, we could be talking about a mismatch. Were they right?
100%.
The last pick of the first round, and one of the best of the entire draft. Kevon Looney, the UCLA standout with a penchant for grabbing boards and a defensive acumen, wasn't just a late first-round gamble for the Warriors. He was a goldmine waiting to be discovered. His transition from college to the pros wasn't without its hurdles. Hip surgeries in his early years threatened to derail his NBA journey before it truly began. But Looney wasn't about to let his NBA dream slip through his fingers that easily. By the 2017 through 2018 season, he started showing glimpses of the high-energy, defensive versatile player the Warriors hoped they were getting. As the 2021 through 2020 season rolled around, Looney became indispensable, starting 80 of the 82 games he played, and he averaged a career high in minutes, while pulling down an impressive 7.3 rebounds per game. Looney's knack for being in the right place at the right time shone brightest in the playoffs. Remember the Western Conference semifinals against the Memphis Grizzlies in 2022? Looney grabbed a career-high 22 rebounds in Game 6, becoming the Warriors' unexpected hero and cementing his place in the team's core.
See if they can score and just make it a little tougher on Cleveland.
Offensively, Looney might not be the guy to drop 20 points every night, but his ability to finish around the rim, coupled with his basketball IQ, makes him a threat. Yeah, he's the guy setting bone-crushing screens for Curry and Thompson, the unsung heroes in the Warriors' high-octane offense.
His 8 points and the 5 boards and the 4 assists, Looney!
So how good of a pick was Looney? Do I even need to answer this?
The Houston Rockets select Montrezl Harrell
from the University of Louisville.
He is an excellent rebounder and is really strong on the offensive glass, where he averages more than 3 rebounds per game this season. He is capable of getting baskets on the block and with some decent post moves and can finish through contact. Were they right?
No, 100%.
Another guy was taken way too late in the draft. He was also a fan of Luka. Now, Montrezl Harrell was an awesome player while playing for Louisville. Still, his junior year stats, averaging 15.7 points and 9.2 rebounds per game, only hinted at the impact he'd have in the pros.
Montrezl Harrell, my goodness. Folks, watch where he jumped from. Oh my goodness. Right to the rim. Montrezl Harrell.
Drafted by the Houston Rockets, Harrell quickly became known for his high energy play, becoming a fan favorite for his hustle and highlight reel dunks. But it was with the Los Angeles Clippers that Harrell truly found his groove, becoming an indispensable part of their bench mob. His 2019 through 2020 season was a career highlight, as he took home the 6th Man of the Year award, averaging a career high 18.6 points and 7.1 rebounds per game. But Harrell wasn't just a one-dimensional player. Despite his size, he proved to be a versatile defender and an efficient scorer, especially around the rim. His impressive field goal percentage, often hovering around 60%, attests to his ability to finish strong under pressure.
The Philadelphia 76ers select Richaun Holmes from Bowling Green State University.
Explosive, bouncy athlete at center. He uses physical gifts well on defense, picking up steals and blocks. Quite productive out of the pick and roll. Were they right?
100%.
Drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers, Holmes initially struggled for consistent minutes, but made every moment on the court count. His breakout moments included high-energy performances and highlight reel blocks, slowly earning him more time on the hardwood. Holmes' athleticism and hustle were undeniable, making him a fan favorite for his heart and effort, even in limited roles. Holmes' move to the Phoenix Suns didn't quite provide the breakout opportunity he might have hoped for, but his work ethic never wavered. However, it was with the Sacramento Kings that Holmes truly found his stride, becoming a key player thanks to his pick and roll efficiency and rim protection. His standout performance during the 2019 through 2020 season, with averages of 12.3 points and 8.1 rebounds, highlighted his growth and the value he brought to the Kings' front court.
The Milwaukee Bucks select Norman Powell from UCLA.
He has all the physical tools to guard multiple guard positions at the NBA level, and he will continue to grasp a better sense of how to be effective and use his tools on that end of the floor. Were they right?
100%.
At UCLA, he evolved from a rim-attacking guard to a more perimeter-focused player, earning first-team All-Pac-12 honors with an impressive 16.4 points per game in his senior year. Drafted 46th overall by the Bucks and then traded to the Raptors, Powell's NBA journey began with promise. His rookie season hinted at his potential, but it was the 2016 through 2017 season that saw his breakout, with memorable performances like a 30-point game against the Brooklyn Nets, showcasing his scoring ability. Powell's defining moment came with the Raptors' 2019 championship run, where his energy and clutch play off the bench was instrumental in securing the title. I know I don't usually do this, but I want to add in the honorable undrafted players of this draft, aka the players who should have been drafted. While concerns about his background and off-court habits caused him to go undrafted, there is undoubtedly still a great deal of upside left to tap into. Wood will probably end up being as good of an NBA player as he wants to be. Were they right?
100%.
Despite a standout sophomore year at UNLV, with averages that screamed NBA readiness, Wood found himself undrafted in 2015. In the beginning, he had a couple of brief stints with teams like the Sixers and the Hornets and others. Yet, it wasn't until his tenure with the Detroit Pistons that Wood truly found his stride. The departure of Andre Drummond opened the door for Wood to shine. That season, he averaged around 13 points and 6 rebounds in 21 minutes. That was enough to earn him a 3-year, $41 million contract with the Pistons. During his time with the Rockets, he averaged 19.9 points, 8.4 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 1.1 steals, and 1.6 blocks per game. With the Mavericks, Wood maintained impressive averages, scoring 21.5 points, grabbing 9.2 rebounds, dishing out 2.3 assists, and providing 1.3 steals and 1.8 blocks per game. And after the Mavericks, he went to the West Coast to sign with the Lakers. And with them, he's taken more of a backseat role and a smaller contract, hoping to get a chip. Hey, not bad for a guy no one wanted in the draft, right? Cook may not have had the highest ceiling, but he has grabbed the attention of NBA teams with his leadership potential, toughness, energy, and ability to run a second offense. Were they right?
100%.
Despite going undrafted in 2015, Cook's success at Duke, including a pivotal role in the 2015 NCAA championship, hinted at his NBA potential. His senior year stats, averaging over 15 points and shooting nearly 40% from three, showcased his talent. Cook began his professional career in the G League, where he excelled with the Canton Charge, earning accolades like Rookie of the Year and All-Star Game MVP. His standout performances, including a memorable 49-point game, proved he was ready for the NBA.
2-on-1, gonna drive on AC and score! Quarter number 4, long straightaway 3-ball, Quinn Cook. Cook coming down the right side, drives off the glass for 2 more!
With the Warriors, Cook's sharpshooting and playmaking off the bench were crucial to their 2018 championship. His career-high 30-point game, shooting 5 of 6 from beyond the arc, highlighted his ability to step up when needed, especially in the absence of key players like Steph Curry. Joining the Los Angeles Lakers further solidified Cook's role as a team player. While his on-court minutes were limited, his contributions to the 2020 NBA championship, both on and off the court, are extremely valuable, especially when the guy was passed on by 30 teams. Twice. It's not always easy to predict who will have a long career in the NBA and who will have a not so good one. There are numerous factors that impact this. Injuries, coaches, how the player's style fits with the team, and so on and so forth. No matter how much film you analyze or how much you read the scouting reports, you can't be certain about a player's future. Also, you can't be certain people will reply to your DMs, no matter how politely you ask them. Oh, don't worry, I'm still waiting.